Wouldn't have happened if we were recording on tape.
Well, folks, look. Somebody made a mistake.
I did the death stare to my younger son one day, and he got really upset. I was doing that to you, right? I did the death stare a little bit.
If that's
you looked
your death
upset.
stare, you
no,
need to
no,
work
I
on it.
can do a worse death stare, but yeah.
That's nothing. As Rick likes to say, we made a mistake. I mean, we don't really need to go into.
I don't like saying that. I don't like saying we made a mistake. I don't enjoy saying that at all.
We don't need to go into who made the mistake. I don't want to. I don't want to embarrass anybody. And, I don't even want to do the whole intro again. I guess I'll just say welcome to Lost and Bound, Everwound Summer Spectacular. I'm Chris Lost.
I'm Found Jim.
And I am special correspondent Rick Rewound.
You never explained that so we should say we just probably recorded a half hour's worth of material and it didn't all get recorded.
Well, no, we didn't record a half hour's worth of material.
That's true. We
recorded about 5 minutes of material?
It's like a minute's worth of material.
Oh, I'm senior correspondent,
so
Rick
Rewound. What do you mean by that? Like, what do you reference?
What do you mean by that?
I don't get it. What
do
do
you
mean by
mean?
that, Rick?
What the hell? I mean, I already feel like I've done this once already, and now you're hassling me again about this?
We're doing it all over again. We solved that we had to hem and haw and figure out what we were doing. I don't even remember the name of the restaurant we went to. I got to look them up to give them a plug.
Lido's, right?
The whole chicken, what was it called?
No.
Chicken Town? Mr. Chicken?
Kansas City's Chicken Town. No, it was called the West Side Local.
Mm-hmm.
A delicious
Yeah.
restaurant with many options, including many vegan options. A lot of choices for Rick.
That's right.
And an air-conditioned patio.
Ask for it by name.
So I screwed up our whole preamble. We'll very quickly say we're doing our second Summer Spectacular episode. Last one we went and visited some museums in Oklahoma.
Haven't we done 3? I feel like this is the 3rd time we're doing a summer spectacular.
Second. What would be the third?
I guess the last one was just an hour ago.
Okay. Now there's the death stare. But it's more like a smug look than anything. Well, you really didn't miss much. Or none, because we can't even remember what we said. But we did make the decision. The last time we did a Summer Spectacular, we watched a movie that was relevant to the trip, and we couldn't find a film that was relevant to this trip because this trip is all about seeing the Pretenders in Kansas City based off of a huge logistical mistake that I made, similar to a logistical mistake that I just made. And so we're all going to go see the Pretenders tomorrow night, and we're excited about that. I found out in the last 30 minutes that Rick and Jim like the Pretenders.
Who doesn't like the Pretenders?
Yeah. I'd like to meet them.
Guess what, guys? A little bit of surprise. We're going to meet the Pretenders. Can you imagine? It's a small place. We talked at length about small venues. And we talked about you guys played with Weezer. That Weezer opened for you guys at one point. That was the highlight of a discussion.
They did not open. They played before us, but in the CBGB scheduling nightmare of 8 bands playing in one night, there's the after hours.
So would you call them a support act?
No, not at all.
They played before you?
No, they played peak time, let's say, and then we played after peak time when it's getting late and people are asleep on the tables. The club is clearing out because everybody had to leave before the last train to Hoboken.
Or Brooklyn, let's be fair.
Brooklyn,
there's hipsters in 2 directions.
Although at that time, I don't think Brooklyn was just starting. Like there were like 1 or 2 people who were in Brooklyn, like
Right.
hipsters. But that was right on the cusp of the Brooklyn explosion. It was still New Jersey. It was still Hoboken and
Maxwell's.
yeah.
Oh, that was Jersey.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Hoboken.
Yeah.
What was that label? Bettina's label.
Thrill Jockey?
Were they a Hoboken? Were they a Bronx label? Or
No, she was in
Brooklyn.
Alphabet City, I remember. She was really, I vaguely remember initially she was in New York, and then she went to Chicago. She was in Chicago.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Thrill Jockey is a Chicago label?
For a good amount of time.
Yeah.
But yeah, very early on, she was in New York, I think.
Yeah, for some reason I thought our friend Liz went out to Hoboken and met Bettina
That's possible she was there, but I vaguely remember the first time meeting her, and I thought she was living on the edge.
Lower East Side or something. It was our drummer stayed overnight with her, and we went to pick him up. And yeah, it was somewhere. Yeah, like you said, Alphabet City. That sounds familiar.
The drummer who ended up in Tortoise.
Yeah.
That drummer.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay. Why are you giving me the death stare for that?
Because you were worried about us saying the band name, like you're giving out. It's like too many hints.
Yeah, because the drummers in Tortoise were never in any other bands.
That's true. I guess it would be complicated.
I really
Yeah.
let the cat out of the bag there. I mean, if anything, the drummers in Tortoise were known for being in every other band.
That's true.
So we've picked a film to watch tonight. Do you want to tell us about the film we're going to watch, Rick?
It's the Linguini Incident, a little scene independent film from 1990 starring David Bowie, Rosanna Arquette, and Esther Ballant. I believe. I feel like you guys need the surprises. There'll be so many surprises. Andre Gregory and Buck Henry.
Is this a siesta-esque film? So this is kind of right in the vein of these movies we've been watching this year.
But I think it's funny. It's a funny film. And cinematographer that has made his name doing Wes Anderson's films. This is one of his early films. Young director at the time. First film. He later directed like Girls and like those TV shows. Like the film sort of sank into obscurity. There were financial problems too, and then was edited badly. The director lost control of it, and then just recently he did a director's cut. That's what we'll be watching tonight.
In just a few minutes, I'm going to make some popcorn. The brothers here are going to play some pinball, maybe a little Robotron, and then we'll be watching this movie. So apologies. I don't know if I saved you all from a long preamble or I've gifted you with, I guess that would be the same sentiment, or I've cheated you out of a long preamble. But anyway, we're going to go watch this movie, and I'm going to be a little more careful with my recording techniques. See you soon.
I like that it's matted too.
Yeah,
It's
because I tried to. It's too hard to make it shiny. It was like
No,
I
it's
started
a
making
good-
it shiny. It was like it's too. So it's easy to make matte.
no,
matte
that looks
finish
better, I think.
around the time.
So you guys are gonna play?
around the time to move on.
We might play a little bit tomorrow. For those of you now wondering what's going on, Jim is showing us his Strat. Rick is about to fall asleep. He had a really hard time getting out of the chair in the theater.
It's those electric chairs. I can't deal with them.
I have the same
They're
problem.
even easier to get out of than normal chairs.
Well, if
but-
you get the button right.
If you have it preset to your little thing that I can't figure out because it's so fucking dark in there, and I
Yeah.
get scared. And I mean, it is very nice. I
You
really
didn't get
should
the ones
complain.
with the light up buttons?
the buttons do light up.
Oh,
but
they do?
everything lights up, and that's annoying when you're trying to have a dark theater.
Oh no!
Because even like the feet light up.
Oh, really?
These are fine Italian chairs. They're bought from an
they
Italian
Italian?
company.
They're
Yeah, it's definitely
Italian.
Italian.
Oh, I've seen that. Yeah, when I looked up, home theater.
Do you know how many
chairs,
times
yeah,
I've
the
heard this is
Italian company.
Italian leather? The cat can't come in here with these Italian leather seats.
Yeah. Fancy.
So we finished watching the movie, The Linguini Incident. It had nothing to do with linguine or Italian food, for that matter.
Yeah, that's the weirdest part of it.
The restaurant is named after a Spanish artist,
Oh, yeah.
Salvador Dali,
That's right.
who I'm ashamed to say was my favorite artist in high school because,
Oh, boy.
what pretentious high school kid doesn't have Salvador Dali as his. I mean, it's kind of a sloppy art to be into, surrealism. But the film had a very surreal, a modestly surreal take to it, would you say?
Sure. Yeah.
Tell me more about how much you like art. Because this is the first time I've heard about it.
I took an AP art history course in high school.
Ooh.
Oh, You were cute girls in that class.
There were.
You had an AP art history in your high
Actually,
school?
I took a class in high
lie.
school. We all went to the same high school except for you, Sarah.
You guys were offered an AP art history. We didn't have a fucking regular art history.
I took AP art history, and I also took a class called Art for Non-Artists. And it was a class if you didn't know how to draw or paint, but enjoyed art and wanted
that's fair.
to do something artistic, you could do that. And in that class, I did actually pick up a couple gals.
Gross.
We were not. Well, look.
I know.
I'm
It's
just being
so that I
honest.
saw that picture from the other day, and I'm so glad I met you later.
That was college.
Ew.
Chris, this is a class called Art for Non-Artists, but you are so artistic.
Such an artist. Such an artist.
You have a real talent.
I was so ashamed for decades of my love of Salvador Dali. And then 15 years ago, I flew to Singapore.
Is that how you say it?
I don't know. Who knows? That's how pretentious people from high school would say it.
See, the pretentious people in my high school just liked Andy Warhol, so the boys.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
the only artist
well,
they
that's
knew.
Missouri high school. I was actually
I
a progressive
went to school
city,
in Kansas,
Chicago.
so
So I flew to Singapore 15 years ago, completely shedding decades from my love of Salvador Dali. Lo and behold, I got off the flight, 15-hour flight from Newark, New Jersey to Singapore, direct, Singapore Airlines. At that time, the longest flight in the history of flight. And
what are we talking
no
about?
joke. This is all true. And I was completely dazed because, Singapore's...
The history of flight ever on the
Commercial
planet?
At the
flight.
time, yeah, there was no
Commercial
longer
flights.
flight than that flight.
Like, so some people have flown around the
I feel
whole
like that's a lie.
Earth.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, but you're talking about longest commercial flight.
Yeah, longest commercial flight. And we had to fly over, like, Russia. I was like, whoa, what's going on? We're over Russia right now? Is that okay? But it was okay. And then when I landed, I was flipped day for night. So, like, their day is our night. I was completely dazed.
Also, you don't have a good sense of direction, so.
However that plays in. And then
You weren't flying the plane.
I was not.
But I mean, like,
Thank God.
you're not knowing where you are on the globe ever because you don't know where you are in Parkville.
Well, if I'm in Parkville, I know I'm in Parkville. They said, your room's not ready, but if you walk out to this insane art museum building out on the pier, they have the largest collection of Salvador Dali art that's ever been put together in one place. And I said, what? I used to love Salvador Dali,
I'm
but
such a huge Salvador Dali.
I'm embarrassed to
Head.
say that I liked him as a high school kid. And I went out to this building and walked floors upon floors upon floors of Salvador Dali. And it was obviously, the melted clock paintings and all this stuff. But then it was like a whole floor dedicated to his sketches, a whole floor dedicated to his early paintings. He was a tremendous artist. And I was having,
Oh my.
haven't slept in a whole day. I am upside down. So picture like not having slept in 24 hours. You're like completely in a daze, in a surreal haze, might I say. And somebody says, here's a museum full of art of an artist that you thought was your favorite artist when you were in high school. And then you walk into it and look at it, and it was all fantastic. I was like, okay, this guy was not a sham. He was truly a great artist. I love all this stuff. I'm not so proud of why I liked him when in high school, but he really was worth all the attention that he got.
That was what was disappointing about the Dali exhibit at the Art Institute a couple years ago. 2 rooms, art from like 1928 to 1932 or something. Like they didn't go beyond those first few years. Or it was like right before the war, I think. But yeah, like they didn't extend it beyond that. It was kind of like, oh no, he only really was good for 5 or 6 years.
Sold out, right?
Yeah.
Is the idea, or he just started cranking stuff out.
Yeah.
why he's dismissed. Is that it? Or
I think so. And they don't even acknowledge it, really. Yeah, it's like, oh, he died 50 years later, but the exhibit ends in 1938.
Picasso kind of did that too.
Got away with it.
It was way deified, and well, he lived forever too. But he
was an asshole.
he sold there all these kind of weird knockoff things that have his name that were commercially produced products and things like ceramics and things, right? I think in the 50s, it's like things I remember seeing on like Antiques Roadshow or something, and it's like Picasso, and it's like, oh yeah, it's not really Picasso, but it's an official Picasso thing. But he sold his name to, they're selling things like that, and it's just as bad. He did the same thing.
Yeah, but Dali, for some reason.
Yeah, he's more cheap. He's second rate or something.
This seemed to feature a lot of stuff before he was known.
Yeah.
It was really good.
Look, the art's good. I'm not going to throw the art under the bus. It's just too close to art. I mean, I like older art and older everything. But, like, you can tell he was a hipster doofus because of the mustache.
Well,
Like,
that's irrefutable.
I mean, if I met him today, I would hate him.
I just think the mustache kind of looked like one of those melting clocks.
I don't like a man to have an affectation. It's really upsetting.
So there was a melting clock in the restaurant of this film. The restaurant was called Dali.
I didn't even catch that. Jeez.
Yeah, boy.
Which was weird because then they had a dish on the menu called chicken dada. Again, another art form that was not associated with surrealism, but was fairly close in time frame.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before predecessor to
Yeah.
surrealism.
So you've just been hiding this, like, love of art for 30 years?
I don't love art. I just know about it.
Well, how come every time we go on vacation and I want to, like, go look at museums, we're like, we did that, 10 minutes. Let's go check it off the list.
I don't know what you're talking about. I'd go to an art museum any day.
Oh,
In Art for Non-Artists, one of the women that I wooed in not Art for Non-Artists, I took to the art. What's the art museum in Chicago?
the Ferris Bueller one.
Yeah, the Ferris Bueller Institute of Art.
Ferris Bueller Institute of Chicago Art. I took her there. It was a really good time. So we're joined by our guest today is Sarah Lost from the podcast Forced.
Why am I lost?
Well, because that,
Are you lost? So I'm like
Yeah.
Mrs. Lost?
yeah,
Yep.
it's art. Go with it.
You knew what you were getting into
Did she though?
when
Did
you
she
took his
really?
name. For better or for worse.
Rose Rewound was excited to take the surname Rose Rewound.
Yeah, because that's a cool name.
Well, Lost is pretty fucking cool.
First season, maybe.
I feel more rewoundy, but that's just because I'm.
Uh-oh.
Well,
watch
that's
it.
just the neuroses.
Now you have an issue with your co-host.
I mean, I guess neuroses is lost too. I guess. Okay.
Oh, you're saying you just feel rewound.
Yeah.
Not lost, though.
I live in the past. I do.
And you're an Anglophile, like Found Jim.
And I'm now fascinated by your past that I didn't know existed.
At times, I've been known to dabble in the arts. Music. A patron of the arts. An artist in some...
All of the other arts I'm fine with, but you going and staring at paintings in a museum, I've never seen that happen.
You're painting a picture, going to the Ferris
To the
Bueller
Ferris
Institute
Bueller.
of Art. And was it a rainy
Listening to the Smiths.
a rainy day? It had to have been a rainy
When
day.
I took a
right?
date to the
Yeah.
Ferris Bueller Institute of Chicago Art.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen my TV show Chicago Art? It's on right after Chicago Business. So did you like this film, Jim?
Sort of. I don't know.
Sort
I
of.
was trying. I mean, it was like I don't know. I mean, I can see how it's like influenced by After Hours and what's the other one? Desperately Seeking Susan, I guess. Yeah.
Or
Or is that just because there's an Arquette?
Yeah.
I didn't watch
it
the
is.
movie, so I don't
The
know.
Arquette.
But it's kind of it's like this quirky New York cool, but it's I don't know. It was just hammy in parts too, just kind of strange. Like
Surreal, would you say?
no,
broadly acted.
sort of, yeah.
Was it Dada?
They kind of had to act around David Bowie. Let's be honest. David Bowie's not a great actor.
Yeah.
See, that's the thing is, I thought he was great in this. I thought that's the only movie I've seen where he's like he seemed human or like funny or like David Bowie.
It was his best role, I think. But yeah, there's still some rough edges there. So the movie Oscar came out in 1991. Have you guys seen the movie Oscar?
But
No.
I need to watch Oscar.
I'm a fan
What
of
the? You keep
Oscar.
saying Oscar. What is this movie?
So there was a John Landis movie called Oscar. It was starring Sylvester Stallone.
John Lennon.
Landis.
John Landis.
Okay.
I'm
losing my hearing.
He did American Werewolf in London and Thriller,
Animal House.
Animal House, and then Twilight
What
Zone.
was the good one he did? Twilight Zone, the movie?
Twilight Zone, the movie, was the one that ended his career, sort of.
But can I ask questions
Sure.
about the cat from outer space? Because I know we're not.
Whoa. Where are we going now?
Well, let's go there. One of the reasons we've had so many downloads this month, which I can't remember if I've shared that on tape or off tape. Are we still taping? We are. Good. Somebody had on the internet put up a video and on Reddit and on YouTube that the cat from outer space was a ripoff of E.T. And I checked the date on it, and it was after our episode. So I posted our episode in the
A
notes.
Wait, you have it the other way around?
And there's been a massive download of that particular episode.
You just said it was a ripoff of E.T.
Yes. No. Did
Thank
I say
you.
that? I'm
Yes,
sorry.
you did.
I apologize. I meant to say that E.T. was a ripoff of The Cat from Outer Space. And that's become an internet theory. I think you've started a trend, Jim.
Yeah.
You've started a meme.
I definitely, now I can't even remember why I thought of this.
Because you watched the movie Cat from Outer Space.
No, I did when I was a kid, but I don't think I watched it again. I guess I did. I don't remember.
We were
I-
talking about E.T. and then you said that sounds exactly like Cat from Outer Space, or it was
yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
Whatever.
E.T.
Yeah,
By the
whenever
way,
I
it's
thought
on
about
tape. It's in one of our episodes.
Did
It
you
can
guys
easily
watch
be
E.T.
sourced.
too to compare the two?
Yeah.
Did
Yeah,
you
yeah.
cry?
Jim
No.
read the book. Both
Yeah.
of them. The English, the British and the U.S.
like
version.
Cat from Outer Space or E.T.
I thought of this before. I brought it up to you guys because I definitely Googled it. I was like, E.T. ripoff of inspired by Cat from Outer Space or whatever. I Googled a bunch of things and there was nothing anywhere on the internet at all.
And then when somebody tried to take your theory and claim it for themselves, I posted in the comments, we talked about this a year ago in this episode. And suddenly there's a bunch of downloads of that episode.
Yeah.
Okay, so how old were you guys when Cat of Outer Space came out? You give me a grade. You don't have to, like,
It was 78, I think.
Yeah, so you're like
Is
10,
that-
I'm 9,
9 or 10.
Because
10.
E.T. was 82, it was 4-year difference.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah, it was like something like 4 or 5.
I guess I think I saw it in a dollar theater or something. So I guess I thought I was seeing it much later than it came out.
Yeah, it might have been re-released.
Because they did that with Disney movies,
Oh,
a lot for
Yeah.
that was a Disney movie, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I saw it in my school. They showed it like in the last few days of school when they had nothing to do. They showed us 2 days. They split it into 2 sections.
They just gave us fucking Pippi stockings. Is that Pippi Longstockings? All the fucking time. It was just.
Rick, are you okay?
What?
But so
Fine.
Rick's really
the
comfortable.
reason I want to know about the Cat from Outer Space is because I really want to know, have you seen the North Avenue Irregulars? What other Disney 70s movies did you guys see? Because we saw that one in school.
The Apple Dumpling
Dumpling
Gang.
Gang.
Apple Dumpling Gang, the Tim Conway, what's the other guy?
Rick talks about a film, I haven't seen it, the Doberman heist or something. What was
Doberman
that?
Gang. That's not a Disney movie.
Right, but have you seen that where dogs rip off a bank or something?
No, I've seen
It's
I've
amazing.
seen The Ugly Dachshund with Suzanne Plachette.
How dare they call Suzanne Plachette?
She wasn't the problem.
Oh, sorry.
It was a Great Dane that her husband, oh God, what's the actor from,
Dean Jones.
thank you, Dean
He
Jones.
was in all the Disney
Yeah.
movies.
Dean Jones, also in, what's the cat movie I like so much with the Siamese cat and Haley Mills? That Darn Cat.
Yeah.
He was in That Darn Cat.
Because Dean Jones is in Cat from Outer Space too. No,
No,
it's the other
that's
guy.
the proto Dean Jones.
McLean Stevenson is his friend.
Who's the woman in that movie?
Sandy Duncan.
Sandy Duncan. Peter Pan herself.
Escape from Witch Mountain.
Escape from Witch Mountain. Oh my God. Loved that movie so much. It went right into my love for UFOs and ET. And also it scared the shit out of me. And now I watch
Yeah.
it and you can see the fucking strings on the like toys in the toy room dancing around.
Yeah, I haven't seen that since I was a kid.
Oh, well, see, I rewatched all of these things with my children. Candle Shoe with Jodie Foster,
Yeah, I don't think I ever saw Candle Shoe.
Helen Hayes.
Helen Hayes, Academy Award winner for Airport.
I always said when I'm old, I want to age like Helen Hayes. She's so beautiful, and even with all her wrinkles, and now all I do is just put lotion on my face.
I'm 53 years old right now. We could say 54. In October, I'll be 54. Let's say I'm 54. I'm on my 54th year of life. How much older am I than David Bowie in this film?
I looked up the math on this, but I can't remember. It's pretty scary.
Jim,
Can I take a guess just looking at the poster?
you can just take a guess.
It's 1990, right? Roughly.
1991.
91. 13 years.
10 years.
10 years.
David Bowie's 44 in that
Yeah,
film.
I figured he was in his 40s. Yeah.
Oh, I was going to say 45. Just looking from at the picture.
You would have done well. How about Rosanna Arquette? How much older am I than Rosanna Arquette in the film? Rick.
20 years older.
Yes.
Oh, that's pretty close. 22 years older. She was 32. I am 54. Now, Rosanna Arquette, she looks a lot like, especially when she was in her outfit for the waitress outfit,
Another Arquette.
like Sarah Michelle Gellar in Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And I tried to find a connection between Joss Whedon and this film, but I couldn't find anything. They look the same. She acted this. I mean, just like I was like, wow, I didn't even realize
They're
how.
just both pointy faced.
Yes, they're both pointy-faced actresses.
Not in a bad way. They're both beautiful women.
Tremendously beautiful, but their style of acting, the whole fast-talking thing, it really felt very Joss Whedon. He's kind of taken it to a different level.
Is he the one we don't like though? That's not, now I got sidetracked with that. Did he do problematic thing?
I think he did do something wrong, but I'm not sure what it was.
No one has watched Buffy the Vampire Slayer except you though.
Yeah, I never watched
Yeah,
that.
just a little bit.
I haven't made it through season 1 yet. I'm still working on it.
Our grand dog is named after Buffy. That's why you're watching it. Okay, good.
That's true. My grand dog is named Buffy. And
Grand dog. Okay, yeah, I thought I'd missed a family moment here.
Nope, that's the stage of life we're in.
It's like, what? How long have I been asleep? Rick Van Winkle?
Rick Van Winkle.
You've been in this basement for 10 years.
Well, so what are we doing here?
Not talking about that movie.
I took my son to see Smokey and the Bandit on the big screen. And we're watching this movie, and I'm watching Sally Field, and I'm thinking about my wife, and I'm like, because it had a huge impact on me as a young child. I'm like, wait a minute. Am I married to my wife because I think she looks like Sally Field?
It's just the arguing.
Well, it's the arguing.
It's the arguing. That's why I married you. It's because the arguing with Princess Leia and Han Solo. And then look how that turned out.
Both films came out in 1977 as well. Smoking the Bandit and Star Wars. So
I have to be honest, I'm having a hard time keeping track on what's going on in this conversation.
well, Rick,
I think I need to duck out because
you gotta be conscious if you want to be a part of this.
No,
podcast.
I think I'm the problem.
No,
Because
no.
I was told to talk about Prince.
That's the second hour. This is just.
I had a hot seat question for Rick.
Oh, man.
It's good that Sarah's here for it too. Rick,
Yeah?
I know that most of the fun of the show is how veiled we are with our identities, where we live, what country we are all from, what year it is, etc. But I do think at this point in history, there's a few questions I'd like to ask. In January of next year, this country...
What the fuck are we saying?
I'll start over. So, in January of next year, this country we live in, not saying what country it is, will be led by its first woman president.
Don't
Rick,
fucking...
I know
what
you've got a lot of thoughts about women presidents. Without mentioning any names, how do you feel about a woman president for this country?
Oh, I'm all for it.
Chris, goddammit.
I didn't ask it right. I was trying
Like
to
a
ask it
trigger.
like as if Rick had said a bunch of things about women
Negative.
presidents.
Well,
You're trying to
obviously,
trap
but
me.
you're also jinxing everything at the same
totally.
time.
I am so excited and sure that we're good.
I mean,
We're all
I mean,
good.
there's already a
Don't
history.
say we're good. It's good to
got-
be excited, but don't say we're good.
All you have to do is look at Theresa May.
I don't know who that is.
Angela
Dolly
Merkel.
Madison. Who's Theresa May?
Yeah, maybe
Angela
Merkel.
Merkel.
But, see, I already forgot her name. It would have been funnier if I had actually continued to remember the name of Margaret Thatcher.
Oh.
I said Margaret Thatcher. Let's do it again.
But we
This is-
also
all you have to
have
think about is
Angela
you know,
Merkel.
if you think of Angela Merkel maybe, but Theresa May and Margaret Thatcher, and I think it'll be a good thing.
We've already gone over that episode. Did you watch that episode of The Crown with the Margaret Thatcher versus the Queen
The
break-in
one you talked
guy?
about, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I did watch that one. I liked that one. That was the post-punk episode, right?
Yeah. The one where the guy broke in twice to talk to the Queen and eventually talked to her.
That's the only Crown you watched?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Let's just say I'm not a royalist.
Well, you don't have to be. Well, I'm not a royal. Am I, though?
Yeah, you might be.
Pretty sure you are.
I like history.
One thing about history is people who say things like, I like history, they're never problematic.
I know. That's the that is a big problem. I like the idea of it all being passed down, but not to these fucking turds.
Jim, you had some thoughts about what you
Well, no, but I was saying you can't be a royalist unless you're like British. So it's cool because no American can be a royalist.
I
You
like
can-
the idea of the head of state that's above the parties, but it's an idea and it's not a reality.
Right.
Yet.
It used to be, but now it isn't. Yeah.
But it's
like Burt Reynolds in America.
Kansas City. Food-wise, once only known as a barbecue town. But thanks to the Taco the Town podcast, everything has changed. Kansas City has rightfully taken its place as a taco paradise smack dab in the middle of the USA. And all of these tacos belong to us on the Taco the Town podcast. My name is W. David Keith, certified tacoholic, and I live a very taco-centric lifestyle. On the Taco the Town podcast, we're tasting every taco in the town. We shine a light on all of the taco-rific tacos Kansas City has to offer, unearthing great taco memories, checking the latest stories in taco news, and interviewing actors, reporters, chefs, politicians, and musicians about their love for tacos. If you love tacos like I do, you're gonna love Taco the Town. Available wherever you get your taco podcasts. A proud member of the Lotus Pod Podcasting Network.
Check 1, 2. All right, I'm live.
Check. Hello.
Jim is live.
Hello.
To be used as arm sleeves for 80s rock.
elderly 80s rock.
Stars.
Can we get a check from you, Rick?
Do you think she gets Social Security? Probably not. She's lived in England. Do you think
She gets free health care.
Yeah. You think?
Why does she need Social Security?
Does she still live in England? Or
I think she does.
She does. She does still live in England.
I thought she had dual citizenship. Or
Yeah.
I think I read something like that.
I read that she has an apartment in Akron.
Just a shitty apartment over
A
the...
loft, like a warehouse space.
Were there stores that would sell nylons? Over the nylon store?
Well, this is actually reading the Cooper Hewitt page on there. They have a Legs package in their collection, and it says that Legs did a novel marketing method that's popular now, I think. Direct-to-store delivery. The system supplied stock to merchants on consignment. This meant that retailers didn't pay until the product was sold, ensuring that the product was always visible and available to customers. So that's a lot now, right? Like the consignment kind of thing, like in certain stores, there'll be products that are placed there.
I used to do record stores on consignment, but now they don't do consignment anymore. They just pay you for what they think they can sell.
Yeah.
Because the record industry has been destroyed by the internet.
Are we recording?
We're recording. Yeah.
You sure? So I should stop eating Necco wafers.
You can eat all the Necco wafers you want. I should say, this is a fairly odd episode. I've introduced a lot of technical challenges into this episode, not on purpose, through neglect. And so we lost the initial intro to the episode, and then we lost probably a good 30 minutes from last night's conversation, although we got 40 minutes out of it.
But that was because the water got shut off, right?
It was because when it rains, the internet in this room dies, and then Pro Tools can't validate the iLock, and it shuts down, and that fucking blows.
What does that have to do with the water going out?
Oh, sorry. So other things have happened as well.
12 hours with no water.
This morning, the water was shut off, and I thought it was because I hadn't paid the water bill, which I hadn't paid, but I did pay it as soon as I thought of it. But that's not why the water was shut off. It was shut off because somebody was doing a tie-in to the property.
Chris, you don't have to keep insisting. It's fine. We believe you that you pay.
I can pay my water bill, guys.
Mm-hmm. It's a complex story.
I can pay my water bill. But yeah, it didn't come on until we were gone. So we haven't showered today. We've had to do some compromising things around the toilets. I don't want to get into it because I'm not a potty talk kind of guy.
I mean, I had a bath. I mean, basically the cat licked me for a good amount of time today.
Mm-hmm. Kiko, call him by his name.
Creaky. What's his name? Creaky? Scratchy?
Kiko.
Croaky?
Mr. Kitten.
And there's Tub.
Not Tub. Lil Pup.
Hush Puppy, right?
Fred. Prince Frederick Burton. Call him by his name.
Hush Puppy.
And then Arthur.
Is that Tub?
Arthur is Little Pup.
Snorkel.
Arthur has a little trick that he likes to show Rick and Jim, where he puts a flower pot on his head.
And then runs at full speed into a wall.
Into your shins.
Whatever's.
I have this McMansion. It looks like shit because these animals have destroyed it. The birds have shat all over the porch. The dogs have put dents in the walls. When I had the kids here, it was even worse. You live in the executive wing, or you stay in the executive wing, the guest wing.
So we've moved in. That's great.
Yeah, right. You're welcome to move in.
It's pristine.
It took me 7 12-hour days to clean out those 3 rooms up there after the kids moved out. Carpet came in, painters came in, carpenters came in, and now we have with the exception of the fact that you can't flush your toilets. Yeah. It's a really nice place to stay.
Beautiful spaces that are connected to an outhouse.
Like living in a castle, a real castle. Mm-hmm. It's the good old days.
I took a dump out the window.
Look, we've all seen that show on WGN that was based on a book that talked about kick-ass castles, and they taught you about how those archer windows worked. Those angled archer
arrow
windows.
Slits.
Yeah. The whole reason for this trip was for us to see the Pretenders, and I know that we said this before, but it was erased or wasn't recorded. Because someone, let's just say we, didn't properly monitor the recording.
I can't see the monitor because of this big post here. So
yeah, it was my fault. I was
Jim's the
staring.
one.
I could see the.
Well,
I just had.
It was my fault.
I saw these colors. It's very colorful, and
it is kind of your fault because you're using Pro Tools.
I accidentally selected a region, and then it kept recording 30 seconds of our conversation over that region.
It should not happen. That's a design flaw. But it is your fault that you're using Pro Tools.
We'll get a good episode out of it. This is our summer spectacular episode.
Chris, you should use Reaper. Like, you should just go into audio engineering on Reddit and just search how many times people say Reaper. It's as much as they say Pro Tools.
I'm lucky I even know how to barely use Pro Tools. I'm not going to try and get some other dog going here. I knew Cakewalk pretty well.
Wow.
And then I switched to Pro Tools, and I'm not going anywhere else.
I was pretty good at sound designer too.
So the Pretenders, you said it before. Are you guys fans of the Pretenders? We didn't get it on tape. Jim, are you a fan of the
Sure.
Pretenders?
Yeah. I don't think I have any of their records really. I mean, I remember all those their songs. It's like, oh yeah, these are great songs. And then I don't know when I first heard the first record. It was later, like how great the first Pretenders record is. Everyone, it's like amazing. That's not the first Pretenders. Brass and Pocket, right, is the song from the first record, and which seems so kind of slick and weird and poppy, and it's like, oh, that's on the first record too. So I did know that song, I guess, and like Back on the Chain Gang.
Middle of the Road, you probably knew.
Yeah, it's like MTV.
We're on those records? The same record? Middle of the Road?
No.
So what's Middle of the Road on?
I have no idea, but
Learning to Crawl.
So it is on the same...
I think Back in the Chain Gang and Middle of the Road are on the same record.
I think of those as like kind of the height of MTV.
Right.
Or that's how I knew it from seeing it on MTV. Later on, I heard the whole first record. Yeah, and it's all amazing.
That's what happened to me. I can't remember the name of the record, but I bought a record. I think it was their fourth or fifth record, and listened to it, and it had a hit on it, which they played tonight. Don't get me wrong. I love that song. And then when I met my wife, she talked me into listening to Pretenders 1, Sarah Lost, who was previously in this episode, and it blew my mind that a record could be that good. And I feel like when you make a record that good as your first record, you're basically doomed.
Yeah, and then, half the band died
Yeah, that's true.
that year, right? The same year.
As the first record?
I think so.
Oh, I think they're on the second record
Oh,
too.
it's the
Although
second
that's
record?
how much time is between those two records? Honeyman Scott died when the second record came out.
Right. Okay.
Following year, Farndon was dismissed. Oh, and then Farndon died in '83. So
Rick, were you a Pretenders fan?
yeah. It's kind of the same thing. Tattooed Love Boys is the song that I absolutely love because it's got a weird time signature.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I was still okay with Back on the Chain Gang, Middle of the Road. Oh yeah, so My City Was Gone was never a single, but it's on that third record. Yeah, the big hit record, the super hit record, Learning to Crawl. Back on the Chain Gang, Middle of the Road, and City Was Gone are all on that third record. And then there's the ballad song, and I was done.
I'll Stand By You, that song?
Yeah.
There was an interesting moment in the concert where she said, what did she say? Like, God Bless America or something? She said, do you think Chrissy Hind is a trumper?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Because there was that other song that I had never heard in its totality until tonight. That was a song that Rush Limbaugh used on his radio show.
And I know she had a problem with that.
She did.
Yeah, but there was some reason why she couldn't prevent him from using it.
Well, Tom
Yeah.
Petty had the same issue. American Girl was being used, I think, for some political reasons that he didn't agree with.
Yeah, so like political rallies, but then like if on a radio station,
They just pay the fee.
I don't think she's a Trumper. I don't know why she said God bless America. It was weird.
Well, I mean, I think you can love America and not be a Trumper.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of weird. Is it because it was Kansas City?
Yeah, maybe she was appealing to us
Moving
yokels.
into the middle. Tomorrow, or is she playing Oklahoma City?
Is that where she plays
Not-
tomorrow?
No. I mean,
St. Louis?
Canes. Where's Canes? It's not
Keynes is in Tulsa.
Tulsa.
She played there last night.
That was the night before. It's Middle America. I don't know, but she's from Ohio. She's not. It's not like she's
She's a
some
Midwestern.
foreigner. Yeah.
Right.
It's like, yeah, it was a little weird. I don't know.
What else are you going to say looking out on a sea of old white people?
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, we were some of the youngest people there, right?
We were. We could play how much younger.
But that's where we're deluding ourselves that we're so young.
Just like when we play the game, how much older.
Exactly. Yeah.
I did see a girl, like a daughter with her dad, and I couldn't tell if she was upset that she was at a concert with her dad or she was upset that she had to go see the Pretenders with her dad. It was funny.
I think Chrissy Hind was pretty kick-ass
Oh yeah.
tonight.
Yeah, her voice flawless. I don't know. It's like she's like 72 and belting it out at full tilt.
I didn't realize her vibrato was all jaw-based. I'm going to have to start doing that. Get a jaw-based vibrato.
I'm assuming she's got a vocal coach or something. She's sounded great.
There was one song where it was kind of like a bit painful, but she was still nailing it. But she was doing a weird mouth thing. But she was hitting the notes, but it looked slightly painful. It was like, ugh. But it sounded fine. It didn't sound really strained at all. Full tilt. belting
what Bob Dylan sounds like now or something like it.
Yeah.
She still sounded
operatic.
I didn't realize until today that I think a lot of her patter is based off of Dylan.
or her lyrical kind of vocal.
Some of her talking stuff is a Dylan-esque kind of patter.
Yeah, she definitely. Yeah, I thought the same thing.
But I didn't realize. I mean, you may have known that before. I didn't realize that
think
until
so.
today.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa, oh, that's a Dylan thing she's doing when she kind of goes into the talky stuff. I always underestimated how good of a singer she was,
Yeah.
because she does do that attitude, punky, talking kind of stuff, but she can really fucking sing really
Yeah.
well.
And the stuff, well, I read about, it's like she had no training or anything. It was pure emotional, or just like, there was some kind of quote with her saying, it's just coming out, and it was, she had no yeah, she was not a singer. It's just self-taught, whatever, it was just, it's like, okay, I'm going to start singing. And
I took vocal lessons once from this person. I was like, I'm here to learn some scales and learn how to get my voice sounding like, Bono or something. What are we doing here? And she's like, no, we're just going to get you to where when you sing the song, people feel like you mean it. I'm like, what? Wait. I'm like, no, what are the exercises I do to be a great singer? She's like, if you don't sound like you mean it when you sing the song, you're a bad singer. And I was like, that's not what I'm here for. But I think she was right.
It is. Yeah, it is true.
And she sounds like she means it every word.
That was the great moment in the documentary, like the clip of them working on Unforgettable Fire.
Yeah.
And like Bono does a take, and then like everybody's sitting on the couch, and what does Eno say? Can you try it again with a little more emotion?
yeah, and it was like the most over the top
Amazing.
Bono, and they're all kind of, it's like Bono, it's not Bono now, it's like Bono, they're like really weird, it's in the studio, and they're all kind of, they're like teenagers, or, they're just like it's like Bono was all kind of, not shy, but he's like,
Moody. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's kind of, it's like a moodily lit, very cool studio, moodily lit, and he's in the room, and they're all sitting in the control room, and he's just like, it's like out of control, over the top Bono. He's just singing. And it was hilarious.
Where is this? I need to see this. This is a Unforgettable Fire documentary?
No. There's a new Eno documentary that's generative, so it kind of
It's the one.
has different scenes. So
I forgot about that.
yeah, you went to see Neil Young instead.
You went to see Neil Young, but Neil Young let you down.
Permanently canceled that show.
Yeah. Although he's playing Live Aid apparently, but he's canceled all his shows for the
Such a bummer.
near
we
future.
we had really good seats to that Neil Young show. I'm so bummed.
Oh, the Eno documentary. Yeah. So you could go see it and you won't see that clip. And so they have a huge archive of footage that gets pulled. I've seen Unforgettable Fire documentary clips and stuff, but this is just raw footage from.
So will there be a version of the Eno documentary that has everything?
I don't think so.
No.
Oh. Well, I guess I just got to watch it all the time.
The director talked after we saw it. It said it was 500 hours of footage, and they keep adding footage too. They've been adding footage into the database.
Yeah, but that was funny. Yeah, it was the Brian, just total smart ass. It was just like, it's like, it's kind of like what we were just watching. What's his name? Barry.
Matt Berry.
Matt Berry.
Yeah.
The voiceover
Saying yes.
messing with him through the control room. It was like, okay, Bono, that was nice, but could you try a little more emotion? And it was just like, they were still very earnest, and I wonder how you have no idea how that joke landed. Really, it kind of cuts.
Yeah,
It's like, did Bono get the joke? Does anybody other than the engineers and Brian, get the joke? Or I think they all kind of snickered. It was like everyone got the joke, I think, in the studio.
I saw you two for the first time this year in the Sphere.
Oh, right, yeah.
My observation was those songs are all pretty average, but that band does a really good job of making them sound like above average songs. They are so quirky and committed to their uniqueness that they actually make those songs sound really great. Like all those guitar effects and those very simple bass lines that just pick the perfect note change at the right moment. And then you really could hear the absence of Larry Mullen Jr. That drummer did a good job of trying to emulate what he does, but you could just hear audibly that it wasn't the same, that there's a certain emphasis. They're a great band because they really make the most out of what they're trying to do. And then he's a great singer, obviously.
Yeah, it's the same. Yeah, like Chrissy Hind, the singing gets the emotion.
Hot take. U2's a great band. Singer's really good.
Well, but the songs are average, right? Like that
That's
was
what you're saying. Yeah.
that was the things that kind of hit me. I was like, boy, these are pretty boring songs if these guys weren't playing them.
I like the early songs. I like the songs. I like the simple songs.
Yeah.
That song "Beautiful Day" though really frustrates me because it should have more guitars in it.
Yeah, the guitars are pretty low. So we're a band tonight. I didn't know who the rest of the band was previously, but these were all Guns for Hire.
Mm-hmm.
Although they came from other bands, right? Is that
Yeah, it's at least that guitar player is pretty established.
and they were pros, and you just kind of want to watch her with no challenges.
Yeah, and I felt like a lot of new songs, newer than 40 years ago, ballads, and I did feel like the drummer was playing super light, but maybe that's like a hearing thing, like loud,
Yeah.
not being allowed. They're not loud on stage, like
Yeah.
single speaker guitar cabs, like 12-inch speaker cabs.
Mm-hmm.
But then once they did the encore songs, they rocked out. So I was like, okay, for me, it felt a little laid back. It didn't feel like a rock band, really.
Right. And then we originally thought that there were 3 guitars, but it was that guy on the right played through stereo amps.
Stereo, I guess, yeah.
Yeah.
There's a point in the middle of the show where it's like, we get it. You're a good guitarist.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get some more Chrissy Hine.
Well, it's kind of like letting her rest too. I think I got the feeling that it was like, okay, you go off, you do that. Yeah, it went on a little bit too much, but it was great. Yeah, great guitar soloing and everything, and it was several. It was like spotlight, wailing, but it was interesting. Yeah, it wasn't just ridiculous guitar. It was interesting, and
right, he wasn't jerking off.
yeah, it wasn't like just stupid metal kind of stuff, or I don't know. It was
Right.
kind of
Yeah, it was rock.
yeah,
Yeah, not metal.
angular. It was angular, and
And a lot of Chuck Berry kind of stuff, too.
yeah,
So SG, Telecaster.
uh-huh.
What else did he play? He played a
Stratocaster,
Stratocaster,
some of the
right, which,
crazy.
yeah.
Well, he was doing the really solo-y song.
And I'm thinking, I've been playing my Stratocaster again, but I'm thinking I really don't like Stratocasters. They're too boingy sounding. And then he pulled out a Thunderbird, right?
He started with that Thunderbird, yeah.
Okay.
She just played, I think, maybe one of 2 different Telecasters
Yeah.
during the show. Telecaster seems to be the choice of a lot of front people.
They've totally come back, right? Yeah, I mean, now they're totally hip or whatever. It just seems like the youngsters.
Well, it's always been a country guitar.
Yeah.
So all those, and now country is really big.
I've never played one. I have no idea.
Really?
Yeah,
But Rick, you play a Telecaster, right?
Well, I play a Telecaster Deluxe, which is kind of
different.
And I do have a Telecaster, but
What's a Telecaster Deluxe?
It's got humbuckers in it. Yeah.
it's the Telecaster they made to compete with Les Pauls in the early 70s. So it's like a weird kind of hybrid humbucker Fender.
Weren't you talking about throwing a Telecaster into the audience and never getting it
No,
back?
that was a Music Master.
Oh, Music Master, that's what it was.
Single coil, one pickup, not even a duosonic. Kurt Cobain played a duosonic, I think. The Music Master was even simpler.
And then what do you play, Jim? You play custom guitars and Strats, right?
Well, yeah, the first one I used was a Strat. Early on was the Strat. But then it was a 335 for the majority of my playing, which I still love, but it needs some tender, loving care. I've got to find a trustworthy,
Luthier.
335 specialist it still works, but it just needs a lot of work. And it's just something like the one pickup has gotten quieter and quieter, and it's just like, I started looking at like, I like fixing it, pulling out the electronics, and it's like, I remember looking up, it was like early days of the web, and it was like photos of people tying fishing line to every, all the jacks, you like unscrewing everything, and then there's no access panels, so you have to fish everything out through the F holes. It's a hollow body,
no.
semi-hollow body guitar. If you want to take it all apart, all the electronics out, you have to pull everything out through the F-holes. And it was like rewiring your house. You know how you connect those wires to the old wiring and you pull the wiring through. And so you pull
You leave the pull wire.
yeah, you pull this wire through and then you connect the new wire to that pull and then pull that wire back through the wall. So it's like that. So you just connect these fishing lines, every single jack. And my 335 has this extra toggle switch that is up at one of the horns. There's no way to get that back up in, once you unscrew that toggle switch, the little ring, it drops down into the body, and you'd have to pull it back through by the wires. So
How did they get it there in the first place?
I think they just did it on the top plate of the top of the body. You basically install all the electronics, and then you glue the top back onto the lower parts
crazy.
of it. So early on, I messed with my guitars, and I had no idea what I was doing. And this was kind of 10 years after I had this guitar for the 90s. I used this guitar, and it was kind of getting beat up, and I could do this and this. And it was like, if you start taking this stuff apart, it's like, I'm not fooling myself. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not going to mess with this. And
A seasoned luthier will take care of you.
oh, yeah.
So what do you think, guys? We had a Linguini incident. Fact about David Bowie in the car. He shut you down because it was content.
No, there's something before that. The Linguini incident stuff just was an echo of something else. We were talking about an earlier conversation. Yeah, it was whether or not, which was Sunvolt, the Mudhoney, or Mother Love Bone of Uncle Tupelo. Which is which?
The concert we saw tonight, go back, okay. We saw the Pretenders
Right.
and the guitar player,
Had played with Sunvolt, apparently.
and Sunvolt is an offshoot of...
Uncle Tupelo.
There's two bands that came out of Uncle Tupelo, Sunvolt and a Chicago band by the name of Wilco.
Yeah.
And there were two bands that came out of the band Green River.
So why doesn't Pearl Jam count as the offshoot of Green River?
Because Pearl Jam was just a rebranded Mother Love Bone.
But everybody knows Pearl Jam. The two guys from Mother, like was it the bass player and guitarist
Jeff Ament and
from Green River?
so when Mother Love, did I tell the story already? When Mother Love Bone broke up, but when Andrew Wood died, we at the time liked Mother Love Bone because of the T-Rex kind of thing they were doing. We liked all the sort of T-Rex connections to Mother Love Bone. There was an address on their album where you could write them, either their album or the EP. And I wrote them and said, hey, I love your band. I'd love to try out to be your new lead singer. And he sent me, and I actually found the single just recently, and Jeff Ament wrote me back and said, hey, man, thanks for the note. We found this guy, Eddie. We really like his stuff. He's going to be our new lead singer. And here's the single. And the single was Alive on side A and a cover of the Beatles' I've Got a Feeling on
Wow.
side B. I can't find the letter. I'm trying to find the letter from Jeff Ament. But I did find the single just the other day. And I was like, this did happen.
Wow.
The band Green River broke up and became Mudhoney and Mother Love Bone. And so the question is, what is Wilco and what is Sunvolt? Which is Mudhoney and which is Mother Love Bone? And Rick's about to answer that question. He's doing some research.
I'm just trying to trace the history. So yeah, wow, I didn't realize Mother Love Bone that was before Pearl Jam.
Oh, yeah,
So the Mother Love Bone record, did that come out on a major though?
it did.
Wow. Were they before Soundgarden's
Yes.
major label?
Yes.
Wow. Crazy.
Also, the other thing was that Temple of the Dog was a hybrid of Soundgarden
Right.
and Pearl Jam and was a tribute to, I think I said this last night, because we were talking about arena concerts, and it blew my mind that Temple of the Dog was doing an arena tour.
Right.
But it was because of who was in the band, which was Eddie Vedder, Chris Cornell, Matt Cameron,
Yeah, that was
Jeff Ament, and then the
super group.
Stone Gossard. That was the guitarist. So your thoughts, Rick, on which band is which?
I don't feel comfortable. I don't know. I don't think I can make a judgment.
I think Sunvolt and Wilco were Mudhoney. And Mother Love Bone.
I'm trying to think of what other bands came out of a band, like two bands came out of one band. I'm trying to think of other examples.
Slovenly? Did they come out? Did two bands come out of Slovenly?
Des Cadena 3,
20 bands came out of
Black Flag,
Black Flag.
Circle Jerks. Yeah, I guess there's a pretty big history.
So
of that.
Foo Fighters came out of the band Nirvana. Did any other bands come out of the band Nirvana? Did Kurt Novoselic do
He
anything?
did have a band for a while, didn't he?
That's just a Seattle thing, is that when your band breaks up, it becomes two bands.
Yeah. Boy, I can't think of any others. There got to be. Call in, people. Call in and tell us.
Write us at lostfoundrewound@gmail.com and let us know, is Sunvolt Mudhoney or is Wilco Mudhoney? Let us know other bands that have created only two bands. Well, Squirrel Bait split into several bands. Big Wheel, Bastro, Bitch Magnet, Gastro del Sol. There's not another clean example. Was Uncle Tupelo, I only knew them as a regional band. They came from St. Louis. I was going to the University of Missouri at the time.
At the time, that whole alt country thing, I mean, they basically defined it. But I
Yeah.
guess it still was pretty underground.
Yeah, I have a feeling. Yeah, Uncle Tupelo wasn't very well known.
I remember seeing them with Sold American. So it was them and Sold American were like the two bands where it was like, okay, the country thing, oh, wow, that totally connects to indie rock. You could see the threads.
I'm still thinking about the band splitting into two.
What about Honcho Overload and Hum?
No. Well, they had two bands with some overlapping members.
Whatever happened to Honcho Overload?
They stopped playing because two members of Hum were in Honcho. And then when Hum was more successful, there wasn't time for Honcho, I think.
Honcho was just kind of fun.
I mean, I think they were equivalent, and then the Hum rocketed to fame. And so it's just a different thing.
Well, guys, how do we wrap this all up? It was a really weird couple days.
It was. I mean, I'm just assuming that this won't be recorded or this will disappear, and so I'm kind of saving everything for the second time we record this.
This is it.
Are you sure?
I've just checked. We've been recording.
Like a huge bolt of lightning comes through the whole building.
Just kills me. And then you don't have an editor.
Exactly. Yeah, because I can't edit a podcast.
Well, you wouldn't want to.
No, I don't. I used to edit a podcast, and I stopped. It drove me crazy.
Yeah, it was 3 days of technical challenges, functional challenges.
Packed into two.
Well, tomorrow will be the third.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So you're looking forward to what's going to happen tomorrow.
Well, hopefully nothing will happen tomorrow. It'll be smooth sailing.
Yeah, I didn't realize we were going to be sailing, though. Like, if we don't catch a good breeze, we're going to have a problem.
It's hard sailing on those rivers.
There was even a moment over the course of the last 2 days where there was a massive storm and Sarah interrupted what we were doing interrupted the Linguini incident to make sure we put the car in the garage.
Yeah, to avoid possible hail damage. It was exciting. Last night when we were recording, it was like in the bunker. It was like we heard some booms. Booms made it into the bunker. So it was like, had a feeling like it's the classic walking up the stairs and the whole house is gone.
Yeah,
Right.
that's what I was imagining.
But I was checking the radar. We still had internet and everything, and it was like the storm was past.
Did we talk about the Cybertruck? We did. Or was that in the lost tapes?
That might have been on Lost Tapes. Which is the Mudhoney and which is the mother love bone of the Cybertruck versus the Rivian delivery truck?
I definitely have a soft spot in my heart for the Rivian delivery truck.
You were excited. You saw several Rivian
Yeah.
delivery trucks in action today. You've seen them before.
But I've only seen them on truck trailers because they manufacture them in my town and then they haul them.
You just see them being hauled by a giant diesel truck.
Exactly. It's not an electric truck. Yeah, it's like a big honking gas truck with 3 Amazon Rivian vans.
Going to Kansas.
Yeah, going to Kansas. Do they have them in Chicago?
I don't,
Yeah.
not around.
But they don't have them in the town they're made in.
And then you saw 7 in a row.
Yeah, so you're near a hub.
Yeah, it was constant, just oncoming. It was like, oh, there's another one. There's another one. And there was one at the, what is it? Oh, there was one at the Please Stop. It was parked.
Please stop. A convenience store near my home is named Please Stop, which...
Exclamation mark, right?
Right, yeah, with an exclamation point. We've gotten desensitized to it, but it is a fairly bizarre name for a convenience store.
Definitely catches your eye.
Really good burritos there.
Like microwave or like actual?
No, like there's a little Mexican restaurant in the Please Stop.
Probably not a lot of vegan options, though.
Arete por favor? Is that how you say please stop? I don't know. I don't know how to speak Spanish.
We should stop there. I need to at least take a picture.
Yeah.
They have a working bathroom.
We should have gone there, yeah. Should have taken a shower there.
Yeah.
Taking a little sink shower.
Please stop. Yeah, how do you say it? Please stop. Please stop. Please stop. Please stop.
No, you're like Matt Berry.
Please stop. Yeah, I can't do the accent. Please.
Stop. I think people are going to be able to find out where you live, Chris.
Yeah, he shouldn't include that, unless it's a chain.
Because it'd be like, okay, we've got 6 more Rivian delivery trucks from this police stop, and then we're at his house.
Triangulation.
And it sounds like police stop whenever you say it. Anyone says
yeah.
it. It's like, it's not police stop. It's please stop. For the love of God, please stop. That's what the name of the thing is. But they shortened it just please stop.
FTLOG. FTLOG. Please stop.
Mm-hmm.
FTLOG.
For the love of God.
Oh.
LFQTMS. What is that?
Doing your eye test?
Yeah.
Oh, RSTLN. Are you talking about Wheel of Fortune?
No, I was laughing quietly to myself.
Oh. To myself. Oh, this is it. Wheezy.
Coming to join you on it.
Oh, God, I think Chris is dying. What are we going to do? This is it. This was the thing. At least he'll be laughing. He was happy.
Do we have to jab like a big,
I do this to my
big
kids.
hypodermic
It's
needle,
like-
hypodermic needle into his chest?
Got to inflate that lung.
Oh my God!
I think he's laughing so much.
Should I take a picture?
Easy. It's Elizabeth.
Oh, Wheezy is the other woman.
I just had to tell you that before I died. I didn't
What were
want
his last words? It's not Wheezy. It's
God damn
Elizabeth. I do this to my kids.
It's not easy. It's Elizabeth. No, it's a cramp. Cramp in my abdominals.
Ladies and gentlemen, I've been asked to say a few words about Chris.
Right.
Lost him too soon. His last words were, "It's not Wheezy. It's Elizabeth." He had a smile on his face
He was crying
with laughter.
with laughter. Funny thing about Chris, he cried a lot. And he laughed a lot. He's the only guy who was going to stay at my funeral for more than an hour.
Yeah, exactly.
A little bit of an inside joke that we'll let everybody in on it. We established earlier in the day that I would be one of the few people who would stay at Rick's funeral longer than an hour. But then we've also realized that I'm probably not going to make it. And we were almost fulfilled that prophecy a few minutes ago.
I want my funeral. I just want it to be everybody gathers in a room and they listen to Marquee Moon. So that's 10 minutes. That's a 10-minute funeral. And then that's it.
Just a very awkward.
Yeah, like a cassette tape.
Hey, everybody.
Boombox.
Hey, whoa, shut up. Shut up for a second. Dan it. Should we have Wilco? You know, Wilco covers that song. We should have
Do
them
they?
play it.
Oh, that makes me sad that they covered it. I got to listen to that.
It's good. I think they do it on Austin City Limits. You know, Nils Klein's got to flex every once in a while.
Yeah. When he's not soundtracking the bear.
He soundtracks The Bear?
No. It's just there's the famous bear episode is a long. I can't remember what Wilco song it is. Alive. It's like a 20-minute song, and then the episode's the same length as the song. I think.
Oh.
The online ordering episode. That's one take. Except now on Hulu they split it up. They put ads in the middle. But originally it was a 20-minute take.
Ads are back, folks.
Speaking of which, do you want to do our little sponsor, Chris? Sponsor? Don't we have to do our ad?
What are you talking about?
Don't tell me you don't know.
Lito's Pizza?
Whoever paid you this episode, you're the money man.
Oh. Yeah, this is a special. They'd have to pay extra to be in on the special.
Okay, I figured you'd already lined up a sponsor.
Well, we're sponsored by the Uptown Theater. We had good seats tonight. Those seats didn't buy themselves. The Uptown Theater donated those seats to us in exchange for our attendance. They wanted to have some young podcasters at the show.
They're like, what is it, like the youngest podcasters we could get to show up were in their 50s.
Yeah, I don't want to be ageist, but I will say that we were the youngest podcasters. I think it's safe to say we were the youngest podcasters at the Pretenders show tonight. I couldn't figure out the demographic. It was baffling to me. I thought that everybody there would be our age and slightly younger. I thought we would easily be the oldest people
Yeah, I didn't think about it, but no, yeah, I don't. If I'd thought about it, I don't think I would have thought that. Still, it was still a shock, but not really after I thought about it.
But it was like we were at a Black Sabbath show or something like. Well, Michael and I went to a police show at the Staples Center. Granted, 20 years ago.
2007, it would have been, right?
No, it was 2005,
Oh,
maybe.
really?
So I guess it was 20 years ago. So I guess if you took that audience and added 20 years to them, it would be the audience we were with tonight. Andy Summers is in his 70s. That's the thing. Chrissy Hynde being in her 70s, that kind of threw me. I thought she'd be in her 60s.
When the first record came out, it was like maybe almost 30 or around 30.
Right.
Had been trying to get something going for a long time.
Kind of like Andy Summers.
Yeah.
2007, 2008 was the Police reunion tour.
Really?
Yes. So what do you say?
I thought 5. I thought we saw him in 2005.
No, you say, I'm sorry, Rick, you were right.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, Rick. You were right. I would cut that out later. The whole mistake. Yeah.
Cut out the apology.
I'll leave the apology, but I'll cut out the mistake.
Chrissy Hynde. She's 72, so we just have to do the math. So 51. So yeah. So she was 30 and 81.
I have to watch that Sex Pistols documentary now because
It's not a documentary. It's like a
docudrama, docu-series. Oh, a docu-series is like a documentary. This is a dramatization.
Dramatization. I'm just checking the discography to see. Wow, yeah, Pretenders 1 came out in 1980. Wow, crazy. Recorded 78, 79. Chris Thomas. Wow. Nick Lowe worked on Stop Your Sobbing, but then Chris Thomas finished it off. So Chris Thomas did, the Sex Pistols record too.
Mm-hmm.
But also Roxy Music and Beatles, right? He was the last Beatles engineer. I think he did.
He did Let It Be?
No, well, Let It Be wasn't the last.
Oh, Abbey Road.
White Album?
Yeah, he started on the White Album. Maybe he didn't do, maybe he's just on the White Album. That's when George Martin basically took off, although George Martin wasn't the engineer. Chris Thomas was. But yeah, he did those early Roxy Music records too. And then there's the rumor that Chris Spedding played guitar on the Sex Pistols record instead of
Steve Jones?
Steve Jones. Because Chris Spedding, he was a guitar player, but he also recorded their demos.
I thought it was Jimmy Page who played on the Sex Pistols record.
That's right. He plays the solos, right?
Yeah.
On that first Pretenders record, she was probably with Ray Davies at the time. So doing a Ray Davies song,
Yeah.
she was sort of double dipping there.
Or was it that that was kind of like her entry point with him?
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, it seemed like that was later.
Chris Spedding played guitar on the Stop Your Sobbing single, so that's his connection.
The
He was
Kinks version, or the Pretenders
No, the
version.
Pretenders version.
Is that a Kinks song, or did just Ray Davies write it?
Oh, I thought it was a King. Isn't there a Kinks?
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know. I'm asking. I don't know.
I've heard a Kinks version of that. I think so, right?
The recording happened in 79, Stop Your Sobbing, and Chrissy Hynde and Ray Davies didn't meet until 1980. It's on the Kinks debut Kinks album. It's on the first album.
Yeah, it's a really early Kinks. I've been watching, the Columbo episodes from starting at the beginning, and there's a Martin Landau Columbo episode, and like when Martin Landau grins, he looks just like Ray Davies.
Wow.
They have this awkward grimace. I thought when I was watching, it was like, oh, he looks just like Ray Davis. And then it was like, and then I looked up pictures of Ray Davis grinning, and it wasn't really satisfying. So I don't know. It's a half-assed connection, but
they are.
But when you see pictures of them,
they do look
you
similar.
just sort of think about, don't look too closely, but just think about the two of them. And it's like, oh, they look a lot alike.
They do.
It was interesting.
Here's a hot seat question for Rick. You had previously mentioned that the child of Ray Davies and
Chrissy
Hynde looks exactly like you would imagine the child of Chrissy Hynde and Ray Davies to look like. Between Chrissy Hynde and Ray Davies, who is the Mudhoney and who is the Mother Love Bone?
That's funny.
That you have to answer.
I can't even process that. I'm trying to understand.
So if their child is Green River.
Oh man, I could go for a Green River. I had so much sugar these past 2 days. More sugar than I normally do.
Green River's a beer, right?
No.
No.
Oh, it's a soda pop?
It's
Bright
in fact-
green, vivid green.
It's like
soda.
Sprite.
It's a Prohibition soda. I think the place that made it was a brewery that converted over to soda during Prohibition. I feel like it's a Prohibition drink. Okay, so now let's see if I can find a picture of Chrissy Hines' kid. She's got 2 kids. Also, Jim Kerr. How do you say Jim Kerr from Simple Minds? Kerr?
I think they said
Oh, they were
Kerr.
married.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
she had a
They-
daughter with him also. So she has 2 daughters, one with Ray Davies and one with Jim.
So
Kerr.
Jim Kerr is clearly the mother love bone, and Chrissy Hind is the mud honey. Can we safely say that?
Yes.
I still haven't gone back to listen to the Simple Minds records that. Oh, actually, I think I did. That Rick recommended the early Simple Minds with the original rhythm section, right? Wasn't that?
Yeah, and the later the drummer after the original, or I don't know if it's the original drummer, but then there's the guy on like New Gold Dream and Sparkle in the Rain, and he's good too. But that's still with the bass player. The original bass player is great.
I just know Sparkle in the Rain
Yeah.
that I bought at Beautiful Day.
Does that have the hit on it?
No, it was the record before the hit, before the movie.
Don't You Forget About Me.
Yeah. Is
Yeah.
that
Breakfast Club?
that's in Breakfast Club? Yeah. This was the record at least a year or 2 before that.
And now I'm trying to remember who was supposed to do that song. So that song is not written by Simple Minds. It's written by Keith Forsey, who's like a producer and plays drums on the Sparks song, #1 song in heaven. He worked with Giorgio Moroder. Then he started producing stuff, and he produced Don't You Forget About Me and wrote it, I think. And then it was it supposed to be Brian Ferry, maybe? He wrote it for, but Brian Ferry, I don't think sings he does sing other people's music, but not. Now I'm trying to figure out the history of Don't You Forget About Me. But yeah, Simple Minds weren't 100% on it. They wanted Simple Minds to do it. Simple Minds said no, and then they went to Brian Ferry, who also said no. But Brian Ferry said later, it was just bad timing. Keith Forsey sent me a demo of the song, and it sounded like a hit to me. A&M suggested Corey Hart, who had a hit at the time with Sunglasses at Night, but Keith Forsey didn't think he was the right singer. This I remember. Billy Idol also declined doing the song.
Oh, Billy Idol would have done a great job with that song.
Kerr's wife, Jim Kerr's wife, the songwriter Chrissy Hind liked the song and urged him to record it. Simple Minds agreed to try it after spending a few days with Forsey and becoming friends. They were impressed by Forsey's work in German experimental music such as Amandul 2, I didn't know that,
Wow.
and work with Giorgio Moroder, including I Feel Love. Oh, this is great. The more I knew a little bit of this, so that's cool. I didn't know he was in Amandul 2.
Wow.
God, is he the person who plays that beat at the beginning of Archangel Firebird? Wouldn't that be amazing if that's Keith Forsey? I'd have a heart attack right now. I'd be calling out Wheezy.
How dare you? I hate to ask this question, but is Amandul 2 an album or a movie?
It's a
It's a
band,
band. Krautrock.
that split into 2 bands.
No, it isn't. What were the 2 bands that it split
Amandul
into?
and Amandul 2. I believe that Amandul.
Wait, that's not splitting into 2 bands.
It is kind of.
That's splitting into 1 additional band.
An offshoot.
Right.
It's not an offshoot. I feel like Amandul and then Amandul split. I guess Amandul was the art community. Oh, okay. Amandul was a West German political art commune. It spawned 2 rock groups, Amandul, sometimes referred to as Amandul 1, and the more famous Amandul 2. After both groups disbanded in the 70s, some of the original members reunited in the 80s under the name Amandul.
So it's a commune that created 2 bands.
But I think, 2 bands came out of...
a commune. That's like a city that produces 2 bands.
I'm assuming they were all playing together.
So really, the challenge goes out to our listeners. If you can think of a band that has spawned 2 bands other than Green River
Or Amandul.
or the city Amandul. Oh, sorry, Uncle Tupelo was the other one. Write us at lostfoundrewound@gmail.com. You could write lostfoundrewound@lotuspool.com. You could slide into our DMs, which Rick thinks sounds dirty. And if you come up with one, I'll buy you a free martini at Del Frisco's.
It's kind of neat that Chrissy Hind was connected to Don't You Forget About Me. By the time we had gotten to that conversation, I had forgotten that she was married to Jim
Yeah.
Kerr, even though we had just mentioned it a half hour previously. And she's the one who convinced him finally to do the song.
Thing about that song that I love, although I think it's not the people that you guys like, is that there's a very large middle section of that song that is just the rhythm section. It's one of the strangest things in the world for like a pop song has an extended bass and drum section. You think about you know what I'm talking about? That middle is just like, and it's a great, great groove. But you're saying it's the second drummer, but is it the first bass player?
Early bass player. I guess he wasn't the original bass player, but the
one of note.
Yeah, from first record through. I'm trying to see if did Keith Forsey actually play on. I thought he played on the Sparks record.
I wonder who the backup singer is on Don't You Forget About Me. Is it Dolette McDonald or?
Oh, is there? There's a. Boy, I guess I'd have to listen to that song.
I'm going to look it up while Rick looks up the thing.
Oh, wow. So Keith Forsey did Billy Idol's debut album and Rebel Yell. Yeah, Keith Forsey played the drums on number 1 Song in Heaven. You guys know that song?
Yeah.
It's amazing.
But what about Amandul?
It doesn't look like he played drums in Amandul. I don't know what he did with Amandul, but because he's not German.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think he was English either, though. Yeah, English pop musician and record producer. Crazy. Keith Forsey produced the debut album of Charlie Sexton, who was playing with Bob Dylan when I saw Bob Dylan.
They don't give credit to the backup singer on Don't You Forget About Me.
Is there a backup singer?
I thought there was. Am I thinking of a different Simple Minds song?
Alive and Kicking?
That's what I'm thinking of. So is it Alive and Kicking that has the big bass and drum? No, because it comes before the la, 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 la.
But Alive and Kicking has a la la part 2, doesn't it?
Oh, man. Now I'm all messed up.
Backing vocals by Robin Clark on Alive and Kicking. I think that's who you're thinking of. Robin Clark, American vocalist known for her work as a vocalist on David Bowie's 1975 album Young Americans.
No way.
Yes. And Simple Minds' 1985 album Once Upon a Time. They're full circle. She was married to Carlos Alomar, Bowie guitarist before Reeves Gabriel. Carlos Alomar, who wrote the riff to Fame, he wrote it when he was in James Brown's band and tried to get James Brown to play it or use it. James Brown didn't want to do the riff. And then when he joined Bowie, was jamming with Bowie and John Lennon, right? He pulled out the riff. They did Fame, and then James Brown recorded a song with that riff and claimed it was his riff or something. I don't know. There's a James Brown song that has the Fame riff, but it was like Carlos Alomar had actually been in James Brown's band and tried to get him to use the riff.
And he said no.
Yeah, didn't take it, but then later ripped it off.
And by the way, I was way off on that Don't You Forget About Me thing. Everything I was talking about was about Alive and Kicking.
Yeah.
Well, guys, I think we need to wrap up. Final thoughts on this summer spectacular.
It's been a whirlwind. I love not having water for 12 hours. It made me feel alive, you know. That was the highlight. Just a little taste of I think things to come, you know.
How soon?
It's just like you just got to start thinking outside of the box. Once the water gets shut off, got to roll with it.
It was disorienting. I didn't realize how much we depend on water.
It made me feel like I was young again, like being on tour, disconnected from the normal everyday life.
There's no running water in a van.
Right. You just got to roll with it. You know, you got to take your opportunities. Like whenever there's a bathroom, you got to seize the opportunity.
Seize the bathroom.
Yeah. You never know when the next bathroom's happening. Or
Please stop.
yeah, exactly. Will the van stop? Please stop. Stop, please.
Rick, what your final thoughts on the trip?
Please stop. Final thoughts. We connected Chrissy Hind to David Bowie. The background singer on Alive and Kicking
Oh, right. Yes.
was married
We
to
did do
Carlos Alomar, who played guitar with David Bowie and Chrissy Hind. Final thoughts. I think I'm going to have to buy a Fender Jaguar.
that. It's a nice guitar.
What's frustrating me is why didn't I buy one 30 years ago when they were cheap?
Right.
Like I could have gone to the bargain bin and gotten 5 of them, and I didn't because I wanted to be a hipster and have a Telecaster Deluxe to be different.
I never wanted one, and then my son and I started this band. I'm like, okay, it's a good excuse to get one. I went into the guitar store and I said, hey, do you have any Fender Jaguars, the one right downtown here? And they laughed. They're like, I haven't seen one of those in years, man. And then a week later, I walked back in there and they're like, hey, weren't you looking for a Fender Jaguar? And I was like, yeah. He's like, this girl came in and her boyfriend cheated on her, so she's put his Fender Jaguar on consignment, so I got it for a really nice price.
Man.
That's how I got my lefty jazz bass. It was like a breakup. Some of my friends' ex-girlfriend bought it for her because she was left-handed and he wanted his girlfriend to play bass. It was just like, he bought me this bass, and it's a lefty bass. And I was like, yeah, I'll buy that for $350 or something. It was like a breakup, leaving town. I got a great Japanese Fender jazz bass for $350.
Nice.
So I just got to be trolling around for
Yeah, breakups.
breakups.
That's where the deals are found.
That's where the deals are.
Mhm.
Not garage sales, not estate sales, not pawn shops.
Oh, pawn shops all know the deal now. You can't get shit out of a pawn shop anymore. They know. Garage sales, I think you could get some stuff. Like we said yesterday, when I die, my wife will be like, okay, what, $2,000? Take it all.
Yeah, it's just like my nightmare.
Well, it was a good run.
Yeah.
Well, it was a good run, guys, but this is it.
Lost and Found and Rewound is fully funded by Lost and Found and Rewound Foundation funds. Lost and Found and Rewound does not use crowdfunding because our listeners have better things to do with their funding. There's no need to post reviews of Lost and Found and Rewound because our listeners have more valuable things to do with their time. In all sincerity, thank you for listening to the show. We truly appreciate it.